This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
And welcome everybody to a special episode of the Animanicast. And welcome once again to the Animanicast. We're the only podcast out there that's dedicated to the animated television series, Animaniacs. And here we explore the series, episode by episode, exploring all the cultural references and gags that we can find. And in the end, we give each Animaniacs episode a water tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me once again is my brother Nathan.
In winter, I'm Hibernathan.
That's true. And not joining us across the country today is Kelly, because Kelly is off doing her Jeopardy auditions today. Ooh.
I think you mispronounced that.
Oh, Jeopardy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, she's going to be off and doing that whole audition process, and who knows, in a few weeks or months, she'll actually find out whether or not she makes it on the show. So, very exciting. We wish Kelly all the luck in the world, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. It was a really cool thing. You saw, Nathan, that yesterday they actually had a question about Animaniacs on Jeopardy or Jeopardy, whatever you want to call it.
That was like 2 weeks ago, but yeah.
It was 2 weeks ago? Oh yeah, that's true. Well, we're recording this early, but whatever. There was recently a question about Animaniacs. It was about Maurice LaMarche, voice actor, said that let's look up the actual question here.
I found it.
Okay, so Nathan, what was that Jeopardy question?
All right, so Maurice LaMarche said the voice for this "Take Over the World" mouse is 70% Wells, 20% Vincent Price, and 10% something else.
I wonder what that something else is. He's just probably himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if the people got it or not, that answered it correctly or not, but one of our Twitter followers said that they weren't pondering what he was pondering. So I guess they did not get the correct answer of who is the brain, but whatever.
I'm sure someone got. There's 3 people there.
See, this is when Kelly should have been on the show. Wouldn't that have been an amazing thing?
Oh wow! And then she could have plugged the podcast after that question.
I know. And just okay, well, whatever. I guess you can still be on Jeopardy still. Whatever, we don't care. Well, today we are going to be talking about, instead of another episode of Animaniacs, today we're actually going to be discussing another Animaniacs comic book. And this is issue number 6, which came out in October of 1995. Let's see, Nathan, do you have any facts from October 1995?
No.
Okay, let's skip it then.
There was a Halloween.
And there was a Halloween. Okay. Well, today's comic, I should say, is, I think it's pretty good. Nathan, what would you say if someone asked you about Animaniacs issue number 6? What would you say?
It's so much better than issue number 5.
So much better. I agree. Completely. This one actually has 3 major segments in it, and I'm going to be flipping through them as I read the title. So we have Egyptian Conniption. We have a useless facts, which we haven't seen in a while. I think for many, while in the actual Animaniacs TV show. And it has a comic about Wyatt Earp, and I'm looking at the title right now. Here it is. We have a Wyatt Earp comic called Pun Fight at the OK Corral. And we have a comic called The Whole Tooth and Nothing But the Tooth. So a lot of, and also a bunch of different activities as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get to those as we flip through the comic book. By the way, these comic books are available. You can still get them, through used comic shops and things like that. You can order them online through, many of the comic shops. And you can also find scans of them online as well. If you just do a little bit of, Google searching, you can be able to find it and flip through it as we talk about it. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and talk about this comic. So let's start with the cover, I think, before we get into the discussion, because on the cover it shows Yakko, Wakko, and Dot going through Egypt. And Yakko and Dot are talking in the foreground here. Wakko, of course, is in the background carrying tons of different things in a huge, huge heap. And
you should just put him in his bag.
I know, exactly. He has a bag for this stuff. But Wakko says, "Are we at the shore yet?" Yakko, who's dressed up in a kind of scuba gear, kind of waiting to go into the beach, says, "I knew we should have..." What was that?
Snorkeling
gear, yes. No scuba tank. Yakko says, "I knew we should have taken that left turn at Alexandria." Dot, of course, is saying, "It's got to be close. Dig these crazy sandcastle," pointing towards the pyramids behind them. And there's a bunch of stuff in Yakko's heap that he's carrying. What are some of the things you see there, Nathan?
He's got Pinky and the Brain. He's got a barrel of monkeys. He's got a plucky duck thing, right? He's got everything but he's got the kitchen sink. Yeah, he's got like everything there.
Everything's there.
Yeah.
He is well prepared for...
Yeah, it's a lot.
And did you mention the plucky duck life preserver kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. I couldn't think of what a life preserver was called, but...
Yeah, the plucky duck life preserver. And just a bunch of different stuff.
It's got a shuttlecock.
Just a boombox, some cheese, some ham, a saw. I mean, it's really funny. Like, every time I look at this, I'm seeing a little extra stuff like hidden in there. So a really cool cover. I really like it a lot.
And then, did you see their shadows? Their speech bubbles have shadows.
Oh, I was wondering about that. I was seeing like the shadows looked a little like weird. Like, that doesn't look like Yakko's head, but you're absolutely right. I was wondering about that. That is so cool.
Yeah.
So this is
a good cover.
It's a really awesome cover. I really, really like this cover. So let's go ahead and talk about the first segment. It is called Egyptian Conniption. And Egyptian Conniption was actually written by a couple of the Animaniacs show's writers, Gordon Bresick and Charlie Howell, as he's put down in here. Charles M. Howell IV, as he's known and sometimes on Animaniacs. The penciler was Neil Sternecki, who also did the cover. The letterer was Lorena Mappa, inker Steve Smallwood, and colorer is David Tanguay. And Nathan, what happens here in Egyptian Conniption?
All right, so we start off with Cleopatra talking to Julius Caesar about how they want to take over the world, kind of like a Pinky and the Brain cartoon, I thought it was. But it turns out they're just going to do it sometime after July, which is, of course, named after Julius Caesar. And Cleopatra wanted a month named after her, but Cleovember didn't sound very good, so that didn't happen. And then we cut to the cover page with Yakko, Wakko, and Dot trying to find the beach. And this is weird. Wakko has dirt in his shoes, which he doesn't have shoes, I didn't think, but apparently he can pull off his feet, and sand will pour out, and even a whole sphinx will pour out, and have a funny little joke there.
Yeah,
it says
they're more like they look like socks to me almost. Like his white.
I guess
his black feet are still there underneath his white feet or something. So it's weird, but he dumps out everything, including the Sphinx, which of course Yakko has a great line right there.
Phew, that Sphinx.
Oh,
it's good. It's good. It's a nice pun. And then they notice the Cleopatra's house or whatever, just over their shoulder, and they think it's like a hotel, and there's a beach boy coming out, and it turns out it's Julius Caesar, and he's like, "I'm Caesar," and he's like, "Hey, I want a salad." And they have some really good puns here. It's just like every line is a pun, which is a lot of fun. They're like, "Caesar, you're not dressed to be as a chef. If you're gonna make our salad, you gotta change." And then that's when Cleopatra comes out, and she's like, "Where's Caesar?" And he's like, "He's dressing." Caesar dressing? It's like, that's the point, kind of stuff. It's funny stuff. And then, anyways, so they leave Julius Caesar out in the desert, I guess, and then go back inside with Cleopatra, and they say they want a room. And they make a bunch of sweet puns, pun intended, I guess. And they end up in the dungeon, where they're stuck there until they find a mummy, and then they kind of roll the mummy around, which I thought was a little weird.
A little upsetting. This mummy is like sitting. Well, they say, of course. They think they're in a hotel at this point.
Yeah.
They think that Cleopatra owns a hotel, and they're basically saying, "Okay, let's go to this room, and oh my gosh, the service in this hotel is pretty slow because the last guest is still here." And of course, it's this mummy with one eyeball kind of still like
sticking
uncovered. It almost looks like a Cyclops mummy or something. So yeah, they roll it around, and then what happens?
They found a secret tunnel behind where the mummy was in his sarcophagus, or whatever that thing's called. And that brings them right back to Cleopatra. She's like, "How did you get out of the dungeon?" It's like, well, it's no longer a dungeon, and now it's a honeymoon suite. So they've changed that. They've redecorated the entire dungeon, and then they decide to redecorate her throne room by putting shag carpeting around the floor and painting the walls red. Cleopatra's very upset. She calls for help from Julius Caesar, who comes around. He's like, "I perfected the salad." And she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm going to take over the world with food." And Yakko's like, "Yeah, you should also use pizza." And he's like, "Yes, pizza and salad." And Cleopatra's just about had it. But when she returns to her throne room, now it's a whole lobby, and people are paying to stay at her hotel, basically. It's called Cleo's Palace, kind of like Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. And she's going to be a star because she's going to be singing. And Julius Caesar's going to be making pizza and salad. And as like a mommy would say, that's about wraps things up, I guess, is what Yakko says.
Yes, like my mummy says, that about wraps things up. Really cool. Really cool comic here. And of course, it's very nice for Cleopatra. She gets to open for I can't even say this guy's name. I've always had the worst name. They mixed up his name. Instead of Engelbert Humperdinck, they changed it to Hungelbert Imperdink. So, little mess up of his words. But yeah, in Cleo's Palace, of course, the lettering looks just like Caesar's Palace. It's such a funny... This is a very funny comic. There's just... Every single panel has a pun in it. And some of them are a little groan-tastic, but most of them are actually pretty funny. I liked a lot of them. What were some of your favorite moments in this first segment, Nathan?
Oh man, there's just so many puns to choose from. I like when they said to Julius Caesar to leave us alone, and then Wakko's like, "But if it's let us alone, it's not."
No, try it again. He says to let us alone.
No, well, they say first. Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, they say so. Yakko says, let us alone." And then Wakko says, "Well, if it's lettuce alone, it's not a salad." And then Yakko says, "Well, add the croutons then." So it's silly. It's silly.
Yeah. And yeah, I really did like the whole thing of, Caesar just, by the end of it, he does look just like a short order cook, put it with a chef hat, and just so happy. So it's a nice Animaniacs cartoon too, because as much as the Warners are causing havoc and everything in it, they end up kind of making everybody happier at the end too. So I really like this one. It was and it reminded me a lot. I just finished playing the latest Assassin's Creed game, which is just nothing but Egypt, and so seeing this comic, I was like, oh, that's cool. Another thing I really liked about this, at least reading it here in the actual comic, you can see all these cool ads for different stuff that we actually had some of these things, like say the Batman Forever video game for Super Nintendo. Do you remember this, Nathan?
Oh, I have it now. I have it on my little mini SNES game. So like SNES Classic.
So you downloaded the ROM for this one then?
Yeah, I also did it for Animaniacs.
Oh.
So I play that now, too.
Ooh. Look at you. Well, this is,
Yep.
I don't know. I just remember this game being just horrible. The Batman Forever game.
Yeah, it was so hard. I tried playing it. I was like, how do I jump through this hole?
Yeah, do you
The
have to press like
controls
the
are so
up on the
complicated.
D-pad, right, or something to jump?
Yeah, you have to jump up. Well, like it was so stupid. You have to jump and shoot straight up with your grappling hook to go through it. I just stopped playing because I couldn't get through there, but
Yeah,
I looked it up
in
later.
the very first level, like in the sewer or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I'm like fighting some bad guys, and like my wife's getting upset. Like, why are you beating up these inmates? They're crazy. Like,
Because I'm Batman.
yeah, I'm Batman. Like, they shouldn't be in an insane institute. Like, how dare they?
Well, Batman's moral code is, you you can't deconstruct it too much. But yeah, there's a great, I don't know if do you ever watch Angry Video Game Nerd? Have you seen any of those on YouTube?
No.
There's a great episode.
I don't think
where
so.
He's really funny. There's a great episode where he talks about the Batman games, and he really gets frustrated when playing Batman Forever. So you should check that one out. I just was very relatable. Anyway, seeing that right there was pretty cool. And then, of course, there's another advertisement here for the Doom game, which I remember seeing this advertisement in a lot of comics as well growing up. It just shows a bunch of black ants surrounding one red ant. And the red ant, there's a little arrow that says you, and then it points to the black ants saying them, and then it says capiche, Doom. Anyway, very, Doom was
Did you
huge
see the
back
ad
then.
for the 90s pants or whatever, your jeans? They're just so baggy.
I don't see that. Where's the baggy jeans?
It was on the right after the cover, I think. There's one
Oh
where
yeah,
it's
I
just
did. I just skipped that. Oh yeah, the relaxed fit jeans.
and then they're like the
505.
loose.
These are Levi's. Yeah. Oh man, memories.
Stay tuned for these words from our lovely sponsor. Way to kiss up, Doc.
Greetings, Persons Perusing Podcast.
Are you looking for something a little different for your Star Wars themed shows?
Then join millions of others who now proudly call themselves scoundrels.
I don't think it's millions, Taxes.
It has to be close by now. After all the word of mouth and interwebs, nothing exists in a vacuum, Dennis.
Space does.
I'm not sure what this space vacuum you're talking about is.
Never mind. So if you're looking for a unique show for news, hot space opinions, unique discussion points with our hypotheticals, or Taxes' musings with Saber Clash, then tune into Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels with me, Dennis Keithley.
Me, Jay Krebs.
And me, your humble little Dark Lord of the Shtick, Darth Taxis. From failed bits to musical guests to dancing Wookiees, you never know who might drop by.
You really never do.
So start your engines, fire up your sabers, hold on tight, and join us.
For Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels.
Part of the Retro Zap Podcast Network.
The kids of the 70s and 80s are all grown up, but the good times of childhood don't have to end.
Our generation can share the fun and fandom of our youth with the next generation and bring the past into the future.
And wrap it all up to make a fantastic present.
Join Jedi Schwa and Chef's Bazaar every Monday morning to get your work week started by reminiscing about the past and exploring the future with your earbuds on Techno Retro Dads.
So find us on iTunes, Facebook, Twitter, or on RetroZap.com. Part of the RetroZap Network.
Hey there, listeners! RetroZap has a new listener community on the Discord app, and we want you to join us in some fun discussions about Animaniacs, Star Wars, and other pop culture topics. So come on over to join the party with the hosts of this show, as well as hosts of other RetroZap podcasts. To join, just go on over to discord.animanicast.com. That's discord.animanicast.com. We'll see you there. Let's go to the useless facts. So the useless facts that we have are the origin of the buttons, when basically talking about how one of the Prussian soldiers were wiping their nose on their sleeves, and so Frederick the Great put buttons on them to make them stop doing that. And he says, hence the term button nose, which I don't know if that's actually true. I don't think that is.
Yeah.
A cow's sweat glands are located in the nose, which I guess that makes sense. I've seen a lot of cows with really disgusting noses, so sure, why not? And the most famous Sphinx, built around 2500 BC, is missing its nose because soldiers later used it for target practice. And I did hear that. That's so.
Yeah, I also heard that that's not true.
Oh, really?
Though, so
how did it fall off then?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if anyone really knows, but like they said, like, oh, like a cannon from Napoleon shot it off, but it was missing before Napoleon was even born.
Yeah, I heard something like Greek soldiers were shooting arrows at it or something like that, but I don't know.
There's a rumor of some like this Muslim, like a Mohammed Saim al-Dahir, may have cut it off because people were offering tributes to it to increase their harvest, and he got mad and cut it off and threw it into the lake or something.
Ooh.
But I mean, I don't know if any of this is true. So, it's hard to say. It's so long ago.
Yeah.
Who's to say?
Who's to say? Well, it got taken off somehow. It's just definitely not there.
It might have been target practice. Could have been.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the next comic right here. And this is Pun Fight at the OK Corral. And Pun Fight at the OK Corral was written by Gordon Bresick and Charles M. Howell IV. Penciler was Horatio Saavedra, inker Ruben Torriero, letterer Steve Haney, colorist Tom Ziuku. So this one right here is, of course, a parody of kind of Old West motifs. Wyatt Earp is in the town of Tombstone. The population is dropping because he is apparently the meanest, strictest sheriff or marshal in the world. And he says no one was crueler or faster than Wyatt Earp. And in comes into town the Warners, and they're at the Pony Express, and they have a pony inside their little FedEx package. And so they just want to have his signature. They say, "What's your name?" And he says, "Wyatt Earp." And of course they hear Earp, like URP, and so they keep thinking he's burping or that he's, he needs to say, "Excuse me." And that moves into, them just messing around with him. They go into one of the saloons, and Wakko dresses up like another guy. They basically put little mustaches on. Dot's dressed up as a saloon girl, and Wakko says that his name is Wild Bill Hiccup. And they basically they torment Wyatt Earp some more. They slap him. They put a bunch of makeup on him, and eventually turn him into another saloon girl. And he dresses up in a dress, and people laugh at him and throw tomatoes at him. But for some reason, he believes Yakko, Wakko, and Dot when they say, "Wow, you did great. They really liked you." And they send him off to Hollywood, and he is just so happy. He goes off in drag to Hollywood, and he says, and that's our story of the Old West. Clint Eastwood, eat your heart out, because of course I think Unforgiven had just come out around this time. So all in all, just a really good, fast-paced parody of the Western genre right there. Nathan, what were some of the things you liked about this comic?
Oh, there's lots of. I like when when Wyatt Earp says Wyatt Earp, and then they think that he said why did it Earp, and they think that he's asking why the pony Earped, and then Wakko looks inside the envelope and says, "Oh, he did more than Earp," so it's some silly jokes. It's kind of weird how stretchy his pants are in one scene where they're all like climbing into his pants.
He says, "This town ain't big enough for the both of us, partner." And they say, "Yeah, but your pants are big enough for all of us." And they jump in Wakko and Dot jump in the pants, and then they snap back his pants and go, snap. And they go, "Ooh, he sure is a snappy dresser. He's out of his mind. We're out of his pants." So anyway, there was just every little bubble, again, has like a little stupid little joke. And it was funny. It was funny stuff. It reminded me a lot of two Spike Jones songs. There's a Spike Jones and the City Slickers song of Wyatt Earp, and they keep saying, Wyatt Earp, he makes me burn. There was another Spike Jones song written back in the 50s, I believe, called Wild Bill Hiccup. And again, it was like in the 40s or 50s, and very similar to the puns of this comic, I should say.
Our story takes place in a lawless town. They've called on Hiccup to tame things down. He's just arrived, and who should he meet but the no-good outlaw Poison Pete?
Pete, I hear you've been a-rustling again.
And I blew up the bank and I shot 20 men. I held up the stagecoach and robbed the mail car.
One of these days, you're going to go too far. So you think that you're a pretty good fighter?
You should have seen what I did to Pink Rider.
You mean Red Rider?
No, he changed his name. He got faded last week in a big crap game. I think you're a coward through and through. I'm going to tell the whole town what I think of you. So there!
Shooting off your mouth won't get you anywhere.
It was a lot of fun. I really did like this one a lot, especially the end, again, where, yeah, they torment him at the end, but Wyatt Earp looks very happy at the end. He gets to take a new job.
I feel like the number should be 164 population, not 161, because I would assume the Warners would count as 3 population, and then once they leave, then it'd be 161. But
you're talking about you're talking about with the population dropping and then going up and down. There's a little thing on the. Well, yes, but they're just okay. Let's explain that joke. When they're at the very beginning, this guy is dropping the population down Tombstone 163 down to 162 because one guy had been run out of town, and the Warners at the end go to that same chalkboard and scratch off 162 and then put 161 because Wyatt Earp has left. But that makes sense to me because Yakko, Wakko, and Dot, they can't stay. They work for the Pony Express. They have other ponies to deliver.
So. And yeah, Wyatt Earp was officially living there, and now he'll officially live somewhere else. So I guess it's okay.
In Hollywood. And I believe, I think, and I might be mistaken, but I think Wyatt Earp actually did go off to Hollywood towards the end of his life to help make some silent movies and stuff dealing with Westerns. So I don't think he was actually starred in any of them, but I'm pretty sure he did go Hollywood towards the end of
Did he direct? That's what he wanted to do, according to the last panel.
Maybe, I don't know. Could have happened. Anyway, it's a very funny, fast-paced comic, so it's a lot of fun. And what I'm really excited about is after the comic, there's a really cool disguise kit that comes free in this comic book, and that is the Chicken Boo Human Disguise Kit, where you have Chicken Boo in the center, and you have you can cut Chicken Boo out and have little paper dolls where you can put Napoleon Bonaparte on them, or Julius Caesar, or Abraham Lincoln, or Sitting Boo. So you have a lot of cool different costumes, and you know what I did, Nathan? I went ahead and scanned a copy of this and printed it out. So
nice.
I know you're going to be in town this weekend, so we're going to have to see what it looks like and take some pictures to see if this disguise kit actually fits. Because I don't know if this, I think these things will fit, but we'll have to give it a separate review.
It should, as long as they're bigger than Boo. As long as they're not smaller.
We'll find out. Okay, well, anyway, let's go ahead and get to the last comic strip right here, or comic section, or whatever we're going to call it. It's The Whole Tooth and Nothing But the Tooth. And it's written by Gordon Bresick and Charles Howell, penciler John Costanza, letterer Bob Pinaha, Scott McRae was the inker, colorist was Joe Mignot. And Nathan, what happens here in The Whole Tooth and Nothing But the Tooth?
All right, so the Warners are all having breakfast, and it is not healthy. They're having syrup pizza, and they're having sardine toaster strudels. And then Wakko's just having Snap, Crackle, and Pop cereal or something like that until his tooth pops or something because he's got a cavity and he yells. And it turns out he needs to go to the dentist. And so he does not want to go. And Yakko and Dot are asking him, why don't you want to go to the dentist? What, do you think the dentist is a vampire? Or do you think he's an alien? And then, of course, while they're saying this, Wakko is imagining a vampire and an alien trying to take his teeth out. Dot goes, no, you know he's not a vampire or an alien. He's a doctor, Dr. Frankenstein. So now he imagines the doctor wants to take out his brain as well as his teeth. And then he runs out and sees the vampire and the alien in the hallway, and they chase, all three of those guys chase him out, and the bubble gets so big it crushes everyone outside.
Yeah, his imagination runs away with him, and Dot has to put a stop to it and say, Wakko, snap out of it. Your fantasy's taken over the whole page. Again, a really cool, it just looks really cool. So, cool stuff going on right there.
Yeah, it's nice. So that ends the page. So on the next page, Wakko's screaming, saying, "No, I want to go back to the last page." So it's fun. Lots of little jokes going on.
It was reminding me a lot of the monster at the end of the book, right there. With remember that Grover book? It just reminded me of just you have to. It was just really written well to the panels. So I always like that. So anyway.
So they end up forcing Wakko into the room. They throw out the person that's in the chair. They throw Wakko into it, and the dentist comes in. His name is Mr. Payne or something, right?
His name is Dr. D.K. Payne. If you've got a cavity, it's time for pain.
But they're a little scared. Or he's still scared. So Yakko and Dot say, no, look, it's fine. So they throw the doctor into the chair, and then they torture him, try to pull out all his teeth, and then they shove him straight into the ceiling by lifting up the chair really high. It's then that the nurse comes in, and Yakko and Wakko both want to get their teeth cleaned by the nurse, because it's a girl. And and Dot's like, what the heck, guys? And they come out and they've got braces on, and they're like, we're coming back next week for cleaning. And then Dot's like, I don't understand, until she sees the other dentist working there, Dr. Suffering, and he is a dreamboat. So Dot decides to eat all the cereal so she can also get a cavity. And Yakko and Wakko are saying that they're going to be coming back very soon. So it's fun.
And of course they end with, ain't that the tooth? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it has a little lesson in here buried in it that kids, be careful, don't put too much sugar in your cereal. And is it any surprise that the Warners have to eat the most unhealthy stuff in the world? I think that's how they get all this energy in the first place. Anyway, it was a pretty good comic. I thought it was very short, but it was the right length. I think, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. My favorite part was when they shot the guy out of the window, and then Dot yells out, "You can spit now."
Yeah, they really did go a little too harsh on that that first patient that they had. Well, the dentist, the patient didn't do anything. They basically run into the dentist office, and a guy's in there. They just have to get rid of him, so they say, "Pardon us," and they make the seat catapult him out. What I can only assume must be a 20-story window, because they are going to a skyscraper of some sort, the dental towers.
Yeah, so, and Dot's looking straight down, kind of thing. So it's not like
you can spit now. It was a very funny comic. I mean, I think that they were a little too harsh on that dentist.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But it was nice to see, I guess, a different nurse. For once, it wasn't Hello Nurse. It was just a, dental hygienist there to help out. But yeah, apparently this is an entire building just full of dentists. They went to Dr. Payne, and of course, Dr. Payne's partner was Dr. Suffering. But they could have gone to Dr. Turn Your Mouth into a Bloody Pulp and charge you a lot of money. That's the guy's last name. So.
It's a good thing they didn't go there.
Yeah, the good thing they didn't go there. Exactly. Anyway, a very humorous cartoon. I don't know. Even though it didn't have anything to do with Little Shop of Horrors, that's the first thing I thought of with all this dental humor was Little Shop of Horrors and Steve Martin. But any other moments you liked in that one there, Nathan?
It's just very funny. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. Nothing that, because you mentioned the that sign. I think was the other thing I was going to mention. But I really did like how much they did the monster at the end of the book kind of thing. So this was the most like comic booky or like self-referential comic book of the three.
Yeah.
So,
well, all in all, I got to really admire. This is, of course, our first comic with Charles M. Howell and Gordon Bresick at the writing helm, I should say. And I got to admire their ability to not only write fantastic episodes of the TV show, and Pinky and the Brain, but also for the comics as well. So very, very impressive. Mm-hmm. And we close out, of course, with a couple, two more activities. Again, this comic has a lot of activities. It has a mirror mix-up where it shows Minerva Mink in a very 90s attire looking at the mirror. And, of course, you have to find 10 things that are different in the mirror than compared to what she actually looks like. So, and how many did you find, Nathan? I forget.
I found 5 clear ones, and then I could maybe point to some more, but I really only found 5 that I'm comfortable. Oh, maybe 6. Wait, let's see.
Yeah, so it's not the easiest puzzle, and I guess part of the reason is because it is in a mirror, and so it makes you. It's not the easiest one, but yeah, I'll see if I can take a scan of that there and see if people want to play with that and see how many they can find. I'll keep that on the show notes. And of course, there's a maze at the very end, which I don't think I'll scan this one because it's just a simple maze, but it's basically a sense of direction, sense being SCENTS, with Wakko following a scent trail all the way to Slappy's delicious ? Walnut fig dough surprise. Skippy's at the very end saying spew. And halfway through it, of course, Pinky and the Brain are putting out their own scent, which is the Brain's new and improved The Brain's new and improved auto submission serum. This is now less flammable, patent pending. And the other kind of scent trail that's going off is a giant bomb that is stuck in Dr. Scratch and Sniff's pants by Yakko and Dot. And of course, Dr. Scratch and Sniff is reading a book, and it's a book on Siggy, Siggy. The character on the front looks like Ziggy, which I don't think a lot of kids out there know who Ziggy was. He was big in the 80s, and he wasn't funny at all. But Siggy is it looks like Ziggy, but looks like Sigmund Freud right there. So there's cute stuff going on even on this back panel right here, and it closes out with a Clearasil ad to make sure if you get those Clearasil pads, which I don't even know if they sell those anymore. Oh wait, one more video game advertisement, Comic Zone, which was for the Sega Genesis, and I know I have that downloaded on my PS4, which I played a little bit of. It's actually kind of cool. It's like you're playing as a character in a comic book. It's actually kind of a cool side scroller. But anyway, it right there is issue number 6. Let's go ahead and get to our Water Tower rating. All right, Nathan, out of 5 water towers, how many water towers would you give today's comic book?
Oh boy. I mean, it's the best one I've seen so far, so it's kind of hard to say, like, should I just go, are there going to be better ones? I don't know. I'll say 5 water towers. Yeah. I assume this is going to be about as good as they get. So, I really enjoyed all of them, so, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to, sure. Yeah, I was going back and forth between 4.5 and 5 as well, but yeah, I think this will be a good standard, like, of what an Animaniacs comic book should be. It was very true to the show. It was funny throughout. It made references to the medium that they were actually in. It's fun to see those old advertisements. That's just a little bonus, I guess. But I think it's without a doubt, if we were going up to the Warner Brothers studio to pitch ideas for segments for the new reboot, I would throw this comic book down and say, make this and give Charles M. Howlett, Gordon Bressick writing, credit, because this one is good stuff. Just use these as storyboards. Go.
Yeah. You got yourself a good comic or a good show.
Yeah, exactly. It would be an awesome show. I think this would be really great. And go for it, Warner Brothers. Go. Just make sure you give the writers credit and then you do it. All right. Well, before we get to some contact information, just a quick reminder for all the people out there. Go ahead and send your 5-star positive iTunes reviews over, and you just log into iTunes, give us a rating and review, 5 stars, and then just send an email over to animanicast@retrozap.com. You will get a free Animaniacs decal. And even if you've done a review for us in the past, as long as it's a 5-star one, well, we want to give you something too. So it's our 2-year anniversary. As a way of saying thank you to all of our listeners, go ahead and just leave those 5-star reviews, and we will say thank you by giving you a random Animaniacs decal. Also, don't forget that we are going to, of course, be wrapping up our run of discussions of Animaniacs episodes sooner or later. And we want to know what you think we should talk about when we're done, before the new episodes come out in 2020. So if you go to survey.animanicast.com, that's survey.animanicast.com, you can fill out a quick questionnaire. It's like I think 4 questions. Like it's so quick to do. But just let us know, which of the series would you like us to talk about? Tiny Toon Adventures, Pinky and the Brain, Freakazoid, or maybe just kind of a mixed bag of, all 3 of those. Just let us know. Survey.animanicast.com. Well, let's go ahead and get to our contact information. Nathan, where can people get in contact with you online?
As always, I'm on Twitter, folks. DjangoFT. That's me.
All right. And as for the Animanicast, we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, and we even started up a little discussion thing with the RetroZap folks over at Discord. So for more information on that, just check our show notes so you can join the community of RetroZap and get involved and have discussions about goodness knows what over at Discord. It's a brand new service for us, so we're just kind of interested. I know it's usually a gaming kind of service for some people, right? But for us, we'll just be having discussions about Animaniacs or Star Wars or just pop culture in general, because really that's what RetroZap.com is all about. You can head over to RetroZap and see great articles, great videos, podcasts, and goodness knows what else all over there dealing with Star Wars, dealing with movies, video games, pop culture, and of course us dealing with the Animaniacs. So head over to retrozap.com today. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. So for Nathan and Kelly, who's not here right now today, but for all of us, this is Joey saying good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds of the Animaniacs characters or any other Animaniacs-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Warner Brothers, Amblin Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.